Sherril, thank you very much for having Evan and I here, and for all of you for coming. I was shocked. I'm shocked. I don't know what you thought was going to happen, but I expected like 2 people over there and 4 people over there, and this is a massive audience. So I'm very nervous. So please be gentle with me. But it's very exciting, and I don't know if you're doing your homework or are you taking notes. My God, but it's wonderful, and so really, thank you. I mean, if you can think of what you want from us, we'll give it to you, because here you are, and you're kind enough to come and listen.
Okay, there's calling. Oh no.
And I just wanted to say one other thing about ZOM. It's a terrific journal. And you should be very proud to have it on the campus, and congratulations to the editors. And by all means, send your stuff to them. There's something about, there's not really a helix of working your way up. I mean, it's not like Ziziba is the major leagues, or Ziziba is Class A and the New Yorker is the major leagues, or something like that. But one of the things that I really believe in is, if possible, dealing with an editor whom you can touch, and that's one of the reasons why I have West Coast writers. It started when I was working at Bechtel in the public relations department, and the proofreader in the department, when we had lunch one morning and one afternoon in the really grim corporate cafeteria. I mean, why spend money on the engineers and the employees? Why not just spend money on the dams and the nuclear power plants and things like that? He said that he had a literary magazine back in the 50s in Columbus, Ohio. And I said, oh, wow, that's so cool. And who did you publish? And he said, well, William Carlos Williams and Olson and Creeley and Ferlinghetti. I thought, whoa, let's do something like that in-house. And I thought that there would be enough people in this huge corporation. And I really like that. And part of the reasons that I have that sense of touch is because I grew up in New York, where really, in the old days, there used to be a community, and because I worked for Newsweek for a while, if I wanted to call up Susan Sontag, if I wanted to call up Philip Roth and go interview them for something, I could do that, and they would talk to me. So I have that sense. And I think that's very important. And so you know who the editors of ZOM are, and ZOM editors, you know who the writers are, and that's a lovely thing, a relationship. And it's all too rare, but it's very real. And so cultivate that and work with each other, both of you.
I have a question for both of you, and that is, neither of you is a Bay Area native, right?
Well, I'm a native now.
Well, now, but I mean, you came here from the east. You came from the south, and you came from the east. You came to the Bay Area. Why was it? What was it about the Bay Area that drew you? Was it the literary culture of the Bay Area? Was it?
Well, for me, it was certainly. You know, I liked the beats a lot, and you know, I guess they were some of the first writers that I could relate to in high school. And San Francisco has just always kind of been, I don't know, this mythological place for me. You know, it's just kind of magic land. And it turns out to actually have some legitimacy. I got here and magically things started happening. You know, so it's maybe a naive hope and dream that moved me here. But
wasn't it that your girlfriend dumped you and you got shocked in the jaw and your jaw was broken, so you had to go to town? Sort of like that.
That is the very short summation of what happened. It's a very long story. In fact, I tried to tell it on the way here from San Francisco today. 45 minutes was not adequate to tell this. Yeah. We made it about 2/3 of the way through. Yeah, it was circumstantial for me. How about you, Howard?
I grew up in the suburbs of New York, which was a very literary town. Lillian Hellman lived a few blocks away, and Reader's Digest was across the railroad tracks, and next door to our house was a young editor at McGraw-Hill. And when my father died, he and his wife, who didn't have children yet, were very kind to me, and they would invite me over and play with me and take me to Dartmouth football games. And when they would have an author come out on a Sunday afternoon, they would invite me to their parties, and I would listen to them try to figure out the title for the next book and things like that. And so I grew up wanting to be this guy. He was, in fact, my father, and I wanted to be like him. And he would tell me, you know, when you get to be a junior in college, you can come and be my summer reader. And I had no idea what a summer reader was, but I thought it would be cool. And you know, in the late fall of junior year, I wrote a note very formally to his office and said I would like to be your summer reader. And I don't know quite what had happened at that time, but anyway, he said that unfortunately he was not able to hire me as his summer reader. And so I was, of course, very hurt and devastated. But I thought, well, if he has a summer reader, maybe somebody else would have a summer reader. So I just wrote a note to Grove Press, which I thought was really cool at that time because they published Evergreen Review, which published all the beatniks, and they published Beckett and Kerouac and all sorts of people. And so I asked if I could be their summer reader, and they said, well, no, you can't be our summer reader, but well, we don't have a summer reader, but since you're the first college student to ask for a job this year, you can work in the college department. And I said, oh, that's terrific, I'd love to do that. And what I did was type out addresses of professors whom they wanted to send their catalog to in hopes that they, so that's what I did mostly in that summer. And I asked the editor of the Evergreen Review if I could perhaps read a manuscript. And he said, oh yeah, here are a couple. And so they were both about masturbation. And so I wrote a report, very carefully worked out report because I wanted to indicate that I was a serious reader and I had good taste and high standards about these stories that were about masturbation. What I didn't know at that time is that many, maybe 25, 30, 40, 50% of all stories that I'm sent now are about masturbation. which is one of the reasons why it's so hard to be the editor of literary magazine, and what so many writers don't understand is that writing is not masturbating, it's to evoke masturbation in the reader. What you want to do is inspire the reader. You want the reader to respond. It's not you getting off. It's being willing to take care of the reader. And sometimes you can do that with some sort of memoirish, autobiographical thing. And sometimes you can do it by elaborating your fantasy, and that's in fact what a fiction writer does. But it has to be a fantasy somehow that the reader can plug into it. There's no way of you know, prescribing how you do that, but it's not you. It's not about you. And just like being an editor, it's not about me. It is about me. You know, I pick everything, and I pick it because I like it. You know, and so it reverberates somewhere in me, and it's somewhere which no reader of anything I've ever published can possibly predict. Because if I've satisfied myself with, I'm then looking for a new thing usually. Although, of course, I'm looking, you know, as we all have these ticks, or we all have our, you know, what we're into, and so I respond to that. Yes.